first go to the gentlelady from Florida, Ms. Lee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to all of our witnesses for being here today and sharing with us your insights and your expertise. Mr. Gladstein, I'd like to begin with you. During your testimony, you described one remedy that you propose, which is site blocking. That is, directing ISPs to block local access to websites that are dedicated to privacy. You also mentioned that you personally have a strong commitment to the First Amendment and protecting free speech. If you would please elaborate for us on your perspective that site blocking does not infringe upon First Amendment rights to speech and expression.
Thank you for your question. I mean, you just were shown a website that is dedicated virtually entirely to distributing illegal programming that they don't own the rights to be disseminating. Blocking that site from doing what they're doing, the concept that that would be an infringement upon free speech is, I think, a specious argument. If someone were to go and take a bunch of Ford F-150s and steal them and create a lot, and judicial process went in and showed that, you looked at the VIN numbers and you saw that they didn't have the right to sell. So the person that set up this shop to sell these cars didn't have the right to do it. And you went through a judicial review. And you wanted to stop that store from selling illegal merchandise. The concept of saying that free speech would be infringed by blocking their advertising to sell free merchandise, I think is a specious, irrelevant, and it just makes no sense to me whatsoever.
Tell us, if you would, why one of the alternative remedies of the takedown, if the site is identified, having it shut down, why is that different and inadequate instead of the all-out site blocking?
Well, I believe, I'm not an expert at this, and Karen would be better probably to answer, but the laws in which what we're able to do with companies that are U.S. companies versus companies that are international companies is different. But I think Karen
we'll give that to Ms. Temple. If you would share with us a little bit more about your concepts of remedies, no-fault injunctive relief, and the distinction there.
Yes, as he mentioned, the issue that we've been focusing on with respect to no-fault injunctive relief are those websites that are dedicated exclusively to infringement. They are not UGC sites. If we sent them a takedown notice, they are not going to take it down because that is their primary and sole purpose. They are also often located overseas, so the DMCA doesn't even apply necessarily to them. So the only way that we can go after those types of sites is through a lot of civil enforcement, a lot of trying to get law enforcement overseas to actually go after the sites. But if we are not able to get law enforcement overseas and we aren't able to find the website operators wherever they may be, then site blocking is the only remedy we have for the United States. And F Movies, for example, is a site where the operators of the site are actually located in Vietnam. The servers are actually in Bulgaria. I recently went to Vietnam and requested and asked the Vietnamese law enforcement to go after those website operators. Again, we also referred this to U.S. law enforcement, but so far we have not been able to get that site down. So again, millions and millions of U.S. consumers are accessing this illegal content.
And Mr. McKnight, you have a unique perspective on the takedown process given your industry. Tell us, if you would, your perspective on why that is inadequate.
Yes, we think that essentially the speed, with which material moments occur in live events, focusing on UFC in particular, we may have a main card that features a popular fighter like Conor McGregor. In 5 or 10 minutes, or less, sometimes 5 or 10 seconds, those moments that the fans cares most about seeing can elapse. So if they're able to pirate, a stream for 5 or 10 minutes, they get what they want, essentially taking away any incentive to pay a dime for a legitimate piece of content. And the technology is advancing, not just the means to access the content, but the quality. Some of these feeds, if you look at these pirated sites, are HD quality. They're just as good or close to as good as what you're getting on our site. So our focus is on the definition of expeditious removal. We have evidence, empirical evidence that sites can do better. And these are oftentimes social media platforms, not specifically folks who are dedicated to criminal conduct, but simply folks who have an opportunity and the technology to do better, taking down these illegal streams in a way that we believe is appropriate. They can do it. We think they have a commercial incentive not to always put their best foot forward. And we think in the absence of clarification as to what expeditious removal should mean, which is immediate or near immediate, then they'll continue to not put their best foot forward. And that's the issue we have in the law.
Would the gentlelady yield for just a second?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I yield the balance of my time to the chair.
We'll say balance. Just as a follow-up to make sure it's in the record with your questioning, Mr. McKnight, what is the fastest that you've seen takedown occur? Just so that we understand how fast it has been and can be.
Yes, we've seen it happen, in several minutes. That's about the fastest we see it happen. But it's taken sometimes hours, sometimes days. And it's really these fluctuations that give us the proof that, the best foot forward is not always being put forward. We've been told, by a particular platform that at one point we were elevated to kind of most favored nation status, and we saw dramatic improvement for a few weeks, and then things kind of went back to what they were, status quo.
I thank the gentlelady for yielding.